Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of the Podcasting Tools Show. I'm Colin Gray from thepodcasthost.com and bringing you a new tool to help your podcast every single week on the show. This time around, it's Zoom.us, which is a teleconferencing tool, which is super easy to use, really good for podcasters in so many different ways. So today I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons, the strengths and the weaknesses of Zoom.us to use to run your podcast interviews, co-hosting, or any kind of online call. So no doubt you'll know there's plenty of different ways to record an online interview or an online co-hosted show for your podcast. But one of the ones I use the most, mainly because it is one of the simplest tools out there to do it, is Zoom.us. Not only is it simple, but in many cases, it's free of charge. It costs you absolutely nothing to use. Now, Zoom.us, let's qualify this in the first place because it's not free for every use case. Zoom.us does have pro accounts, but the free account will let you record for unlimited time with just two people. So if you do a co-hosted show, or if you do the traditional podcast interview method, then Zoom.us will suit you perfectly. You can go for as long as you like. If you tend to have more than two people, if you bring in a third person or more, then it limits you to 45 minutes. So that's what pushes people up to the pro account. If they need to have more than two people on the call and they need to go for a decent length of time, you have to go up to the pro account. But for most people, most of us, we're just doing two people interviews. We're just doing two people on a co-hosted show. And therefore Zoom is absolutely perfect for that. Now, what is Zoom? Zoom is a teleconferencing tool. What does that mean? A video conferencing tool. It means that you sign up for an account. So you have your own Zoom.us account, okay? You can set up a meeting. You can schedule them ahead of time. You can have a recurring meeting that you just have a smart link set up for, whatever you like. But basically you set this up on your account and then all you do to let somebody else join in is send them a link. Now that link could be the Zoom.us link, zoom.us/ a stream of numbers and letters, impossible to remember, but you can send that to your interviewees, your co-host every single time. Or you could do what I do, which is apply that link to a smart link on my site. So what I use is a tool called PrettyLink. It's a WordPress plugin, PrettyLink. Go over to thepodcasthost.com/PrettyLink to see more about that. But suffice to say, PrettyLink lets you create an easy to remember link that you can put a more complex link behind. So if you go to thepodcasthost.com/ and then a little memorable bit after that. So let's say, for example, it's not this, but let's say, for example, it's thepodcasthost.com/Zoom me, something like that. Then that could open up my private Zoom room, which anyone can join into. I can just give that out every single time. Makes it easy. But you can also, like I say, you can schedule interviews, which can send reminders. It can send an email to the participants. It even ties in, and this is one of the things I love the most, it even ties in with scheduling tools really well because it's so ubiquitous now, Zoom.us. It's just everywhere that it ties in with all these different tools. So if you use a tool like Calendly, like Schedule Once, like Book Like a Boss. So Book Like a Boss is the one that I use. Just search Book Like a Boss or go to thepodcasthost.com/Book Like a Boss. And you'll see how I use that scheduling tool to arrange our interviews. But what we do is when people book in, I send out my booking link. People go to that. They pick a time for the interview or the call, whatever it might be. And then that automatically creates a Zoom call in the future. It schedules a call in the future and it sends that person that link. And it attaches that Zoom link to the calendar. So it automatically puts it in my calendar, automatically puts it in their calendar. The Zoom link is there ready in the calendar for you to use right away. So it ties in with that. So it makes for a really good interview or co-hosted podcast workflow. Because all you do is send out that scheduling link and it goes through all the bookings, setting up the date, sending reminders and the actual Zoom room link for your participants to use once it comes to the call. Okay, so that's all the kind of prep stuff around it. That's how Zoom handles all the preparation. But how does the tool work itself? in the actual call? Well, one of the benefits is how easy and simple it is. If you want to see a little bit of a demo of this, you can look at YouTube, my YouTube channel. Go over to youtube.com/ColinMCGray, and you'll see a video in there. Just search Zoom on our channel and you'll find this most recent one. And I'll take you through it as well, but I'm going to talk you through every single bit of this as well. So you do not need the video if you don't want to pop over there, but you'll see a bit more info there if you choose to. So Zoom, once you're into the room, once both of you are in, you'll see your image beside the other person's image. If you are watching the video, you'll see one image from my mobile, which is connected to the same room, as well as the main one. And obviously I'm filming with my webcam right now, so it doesn't show up in the Zoom room. But anyway, you'll see bottom left, first, you've got controls over your input. So you can mute your mic, you can choose what mic you want to use, so you can make sure the right things are selected. You can add a webcam, choose which webcam you're going to use. So really nice, easy controls in the bottom left there. In the bottom middle, you've got a few really interesting ones. First of all, you've got an invite link. That's great because it means that you can open up a Zoom room, you can click that invite link, and you can actually send an email to people, which makes it really easy to get something out to them. Or you can copy a link from that invite button, which lets you put it into Slack, into social media, however you want to direct people towards this Zoom room. Makes it super simple. You've then got a share screen. So a really nice thing with Zoom is that you can share a screen really simply. So if you're interviewing somebody, you might want to put the outline up there in front of them. Maybe the questions are put there so you can both have a look at them as you're speaking. You can follow a plan. Maybe not so relevant for interviews, but if you run a co-hosted show, that can be a really useful thing to do. You can put the outline up there so both of you can see it as you're talking. So really useful being able to do that share screen. Then we've got chat. So you can also have a chat there so you can share links. You can maybe do some secret messages behind the scenes because it's only going to be audio. You're not going to be recording the video here. So it is possible to chat as well. And then finally, you've got the recording button so that you can record the call. Now, this is where Zoom comes in really handy for podcasters because it does let you record the call really, really simply. You click that record button, Zoom starts recording, and once the call finishes, once you click end meeting, which is the bottom right of the screen, Zoom will then package up 3 files for you. It'll package up a video file of the whole thing, video and the audio, but it'll also package up just an audio file. So you don't even need to mess around with the video if you're never going to use that. And it'll give you a transcript of the chat too, just in case you think that's useful. Now, cool thing with Zoom, and a lot of people like this feature, if you're going to do a little bit more advanced editing, more control over the audio, is that you can split the audio. So there's a setting in Zoom. When you open up the Zoom client, now I could show you this on screen as well just now. So if I end the meeting, so if you do want to see this, I'll describe it to you so you don't need the video, but if you do want to see this, you can pop over to YouTube channel again, youtube.com/ColinMCGray, search Zoom in our channel. But there is a setting in here, and if you go to the recording section within the Zoom settings, there's one setting called, now what is it called? It's called record a separate audio file for each participant who speaks. Record a separate audio file for each participant who speaks. Now that's really interesting because it means that you can get a separate file for me, for example, a separate file for the interviewee, and then we can level them separately. We can clean them up separately. So we get a bit more control. It means that you could, if you have a disastrous recording where somebody's dog's barking loads or there's some bad noise on my own side, but not on the other side, you could mute yourself out really simply and save a bad recording. Obviously, you don't want to be doing that too much because it takes a lot of time to do that kind of thing, but it means that you've got the backup there. And the minimum is that at least you can level both sides really easily. So if you're a bit quieter than the other person, you can level them differently so that you both get to the same volume level, which is a really nice sort of simple cleanup that you can do. For example, you can put that into our podcast maker tool, Alitu. Alitu would let you bring those both in separately. It would level them both separately, do noise reduction on them both separately, and then join them together back into the full conversation, which you can then edit. If you want to check that out, go over to alitu.com, alitu.com. But that is one feature which I really like about Zoom. Now, bear in mind that's only available on the local recording, because Zoom does allow cloud recording as well. Nice feature, the cloud recording means that you can send the file straight to the cloud, obviously stored on the cloud, so that you don't have to have it on your own computer. It's available anywhere, but you don't get quite as much control over the settings. You don't get that separate audio file for each participant with the cloud recording. So that is Zoom. I mean, that is pretty much all I'll say. The last qualification I'll give you is that Zoom as an online call, I've told you all the strengths, but here's a couple of the weaknesses. So Zoom as an online call recorder, it is prone to, the standard type of glitches, the standard problems that have always afflicted us when we're recording a call online. Calls drop out, you get glitches, you get all that kind of stuff. And Zoom does compress the audio a little bit. So you are recording on the internet. You're not getting full quality from your mic, from your interviewee's mic. It is being sent to the internet, it's been recorded on the Zoom tool, and then it's coming back to you. So the audio isn't as good as it could be. If, say, you're using a double-ender tool like Squadcast, which I've covered on a previous episode. Squadcast records full quality on my end and full quality on the interviewee's end, and then stitches it all together. But obviously the downside of Squadcast is that you have to pay for it, so it's a bit more expensive to get that quality. And it's arguably a little bit less easy to use, although it's still pretty easy. It's still equivalent almost to Zoom. But Zoom is entirely free. The only compromise is really you're using that sort of online call quality. But to be honest, I have recorded a lot of calls on Zoom, and it's pretty good pretty much all the time. You get some of those connection quality issues, but most of the time it's absolutely fine. And for me, it's good, definitely good enough. It's good enough has got bad connotations, but it's good. It's decent quality, and it's fine for the vast majority of podcasters. So I hope that gives you a good idea of whether Zoom might be the tool for you. If you do want to sign up to it, go over to thepodcasthost.com/Zoom. thepodcasthost.com/Zoom, or is it Get Zoom? I'll make sure they're correct. I'll make sure both of those work. Go over to thepodcasthost.com/Zoom. Otherwise, please do check out our academy if you want to check out all the work that we do. If you want extra live coaching, if you want help with your podcasting tools, running your show, growing your show. Remember, we do live Q&As every single week at the Podcast Host Academy. You can talk to me or Matthew or the rest of the team to get your questions answered. And we've got a program of a bunch of courses. We've got, I think, 16, 17 different courses now on everything from launching your show to monetization to growth to presentation skills, everything in between. So if you do want to grow your show, to monetize it, to really get the best out of your podcast, pop over to thepodcasthost.com/academy. Otherwise, I shall see you on a future Podcasting Tools Show episode where we'll be talking about more podcast tools, resources, any gadget, any shiny thing that can help you with your podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, if you're watching, and I'll see you on the next one.